No, I'm so interested to see Zach Edey live at this level because he is the most polarizing member of this draft class to the point where our colleague Kristen Peak not only went on our live show to say that he was the worst draft pick in NBA history, but doubled down when I kind of poked her on Twitter on Monday night about his strong debut, saying that she doesn't still think he's NBA talent. I just look, Memphis wanted a center. They wanted Donovan Clingan. They were trying to trade up for Donovan Clingan. But after talking to Houston, Detroit, and Charlotte, 3 teams that Memphis was definitely in conversation with about trading up to draft Donovan Clingan, none of those teams really indicated to me that they believed Memphis was making such an aggressive push up the board to try to go get him. And while they absolutely did try. Seems like they were really content on just taking Edey at 9 if Clingan wasn't there and they couldn't have traded up because they believed in him that much, because he's 7'5" and is going to be a massive screen for Ja Morant to do anything off of. And that is what I'm most curious to. I want to. We've talked about my interest in Memphis for next season. I am looking forward to watching him and seeing how that, like, his high screen action stuff can project out to Ja speed demoning his way around him. Can it be like a Talladega Nights slingshot type Cal Naughton Jr. Ricky Bobby thing? Can it be anything that is justifying Zach Edey from being the number 9 pick in this draft? Where I mean, there was enough people believing that Utah was considering him at 10. There were people considering Miami liked him a lot at 15 and wherever. So like it seemed pretty solid. He was going to be lottery-ish no matter what. But there are plenty of people out there like KP who don't think this guy is going to be anything more than Taco Fall. So those are 2 dramatic ends of the spectrum. That's why I said polarizing, because few things that people label as polarizing actually are. I think there are people who think this guy's going to be a bona fide starter, and there are people who think this guy shouldn't even be in the league. And it's going to be somewhere in between. Maybe he is a starting caliber center that's just good, and it is not really in between, and it's one side and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm just fascinated to see him in person at this stage. And I'm also curious about seeing Anthony Black play. He's my second-year guy that I'm picking because didn't really get a chance in Orlando last year, of course. And there's been all this buzz from Chris Paul to Tyus Jones to whoever that Orlando like wants a point guard. And I've just never really bought it. I mean, if they wanted Tyus Jones, they could have gotten him this summer. Maybe they still will. They still have some room to play with. Who's to say? But think if he was like at the top of their wish list, that would have already happened. And there's definitely some thought. I think, KCP's a big signing, but everything else really, they just re-up their guys. And I think there's a belief in Orlando that both Anthony Black and Jet Howard, and then Caleb Houston, and to some degree too, can have some internal development that will help Orlando continue to climb up the ladder and not necessarily need to go satisfy this outside noise about they need a point guard. In large part also because they really like the ball being in Paolo and Franz's hands.
Sure.
But Anthony Black, in theory, is this rangy wing who can do kind of all that stuff. He can kind of be like a bigger version of Drew Holiday, Derek White. That's kind of what I think Orlando is envisioning for him. That's a high bar, though.
Of course.
And I'm wondering if being the second-year dude, how some of these dudes do fucking pop off, can he show a glimpse of that at Thomas and Mack Center? That is what I'm looking forward to seeing.
It's interesting because that feels a little bit like it's not his game, right? Like his game is not necessarily to dominate the ball and put up the kind of performance where you're like, oh, well, we've seen enough. Like that guy's clearly been working on his game to the point where you could put him in a real game right now and feel like pretty good that he'd give you 20 or something like that. He's much more or at least looked that way at in his rookie season. Like, I'm a connect the dots player. Like, get the ball to me. I'll make the right read in the extra feed, and I can guard across positions. But like, I'm the kind of guy who lifts the floor, but like isn't necessarily flashy when he does it. It would be interesting to see if that's if that's something that he is given the the edict to go do. Like, yeah, look for your shot, hunt some opportunities to make plays. Let's see you expand your game a little bit. Also, just in along those lines, the thing with Edey, I wonder, is like summer league can be tough for bigs because it's a lot of point guards, like guys who you have never played with before, who you might not play with anymore. Like the guards have the ball in their hand a lot. They're also looking to grab eyeballs, grab attention, show what they can do, and like feeding the bigs is sometimes not always high on the list of priorities there. So I guess it also helps though to be the guy who's 7'2" and can go 7'4" or whatever he is, and just go grab the ball off the rim, which is kind of part of Memphis's calculus too.